So let's just immediately start, right? I'm gonna explain a little bit how we're gonna make this. We of course need this iron frame around here. Then we have this ball inside here, which is kind of, I guess you can see it like a balloon. Like air gets in and then it interacts with our iron casing or whatever you call it. Yeah, this is a soft body, and inside is a force, like a force field, pushing the air. Well, let's say it's air, it's not really air, but pushing it out. So, I'm gonna put this away, and we start here with this beautiful little cube. Look at it, it's beautiful. Okay, first thing we do is, I'm gonna put on my screencast keys for you guys, so you can actually see what I'm typing and when I'm typing it. See? See here on the bottom left. Okay, first thing we do is we're going to edit mode, click on W and do subdivided. Now we have those extra forms that we saw, and I'm actually just gonna select this one, click on Ctrl plus, and this expands my selection, as you see. Now click on P and selection. So now P is for separation, so now we've separated this part from the other one. I'm gonna delete the other part, and now I'm gonna select everything. With A you can select or deselect everything. Then I click on E and another time, and then you can choose how big you want these sides to be. So I think this is okay, and I'm gonna delete the faces. And now you can see that we have kind of the form that we want, right? But the problem is we do not have any thickness to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm selecting this like this whole inside here. Then I'm going to a front view. Then I extrude it down around the Z-axis, and I match these up till it comes around here. I'm gonna do the same for this one here, but now I need, of course, to go look at another side, and then only Y-axis, and we have this one here, extrude around the X-axis. We will just select these three here, and then click on Alt-M and merge at center. So now they're merged together. Same here. Just select these, Alt-M at center. These, Alt-M at center. And then here on the bottom, Alt-M at center. Awesome. So now we have those, right? Let's put a mirror in here so we can see what more we have to do. So a mirror, every axis, and I'm gonna also put my clipping on, okay? It's very important. And now you can see that we still have some open spaces, right? So let's fix them. I'm gonna select from here to here. So if you hold Ctrl, then it selects also the ones in between, which is very handy. Extrude around the Z-axis, and then you just move to there down, and that's why you need the clipping. Here, extrude around the Y-axis. Here, extrude around the X-axis, and what do we have here? We can extrude this GY and then GX, and now you can literally just fill this up, and this one as well. So now everything is filled up. Cool. Let's go on and get our... Oh yeah, you see that the middle is a little bit thicker. If you don't want that, you should just like scale it down. But yeah, you guys know that, right? So let's get our the sphere in here. The sphere is actually not a sphere. So let me show you guys what the difference is between the cube that we're gonna use. So I'm gonna use a cube with a subdivision on it. Okay, I'm gonna give it like 2 for now, so I can show you guys, or maybe 3. But let's look. You can see these faces, right? And they're quite square, as you can say. And of course we have some spots that they match up that are a little bit like smaller, but they actually go quite nice. If we have just a normal UV sphere, look what these faces do. Like, look the difference. These are way longer and stretched, and they all come together here at one point. I like to do my simulations like this with this kind of faces and vertices. It just seems to work a little bit better because they're more square, and if they're all just how do you say it? If they're just all the same size, it works way better overall, and that's why. So I'm gonna give this, I think 4 or I think I'm gonna do 5. It might be a bit too much. If you have a little bit of a slower computer, maybe do 4, but I think 5 will work for everyone though. So I'm gonna apply it, and I'm gonna scale this up to, yeah, I think this looks good to here. And now we're gonna give this a soft body. You can see here, a physics panel, soft body. Click. Okay, let's play it. Here you can play your thing, and you can see that it wobbles up and down and up and down and up and down. That's not really what we want, right? And this is because we have the goal selected. So I'm gonna deselect the goal, and what the goal does, it makes this ball or whatever you have made a soft body go over maybe a curve or whatever vertex group you have, right? So we don't want that. And if you play it now, it falls down. Oh, that's annoying. That's because we have some gravity here. If we go to field weights, our gravity is 1. So if you put it at 0, it will not fall down anymore. Here, it's perfectly in the middle as, well, how we want it, right? Cool. So now, what do we want in here? We want it to blow up like a balloon. What we're gonna do is, we're going to add a force field and do force. And this will be your force field, the field. It's a force, it has 1, strength of 1, flow of 0, blah 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 blah. So if you play this, it doesn't really blow up enough. So I want to put the strength maybe at like, I think I did it at like 20. You can do 15, 20, something like that. And it will go a lot. And what also happens, you can see it bounce, like it goes from big to small to like inflates, deflates, inflates, deflates, inflates, deflates. And that is because we have a flow of 0. And we want this at 10. If we want just like not how do you say, we don't want this really bumpy thing happening. So now it just blows up in a nice and clean way. Whoop. That's it. That's what we need. Cool. So I'm gonna select this again, our soft body, and here in edges we can actually change a lot of stuff. For this one we only need to change the pool at point 2, but I'm gonna explain a little bit. The pool, I will just explain the pull and the push. I think that's the best. Like what the pull does is if you have like a rubber band or an elastic band, then if you pull them apart with each finger, you can kind of feel the pull between them, and the higher the pull is, so the harder they are, you can stretch it, the higher this number will be, and the lower the more it will stretch, right? And the push is more of a balloon type. So let's say there's air in a balloon, and the higher the push is, the harder it is to squeeze the balloon together with 2 hands. And if you have the push very low, it's very easy to squeeze it together. So I guess those things you can always play a bit around. Right now I only did the pull to 0.2, and now we can see our, well, we don't really have anything to show, right? But this is the setting that I did in my previous thing. So now we need it to interact with our steel cube. And the steel cube, we give this a collision. It's also in the physics panel, collision. And now you can, oh, sometimes you have to replay it. Goes a bit quick, doesn't it? Okay, now sometimes you need to play it from here, like from the end, and then it has some more time to really calculate what we are doing. Okay, so it's kind of calculating. It's going a bit slow, but that's okay. It needs to calculate a lot. And here we can always, before we bake it, we can kind of look if it does what we want it to do. I'm gonna stop it right now. Oh, for some reason it's very slow. So actually it kind of does great, to be honest. Yeah, you have some stuff going on here. What you can do is you can do the thickness outer a little bit up, but I think this is quite good. And maybe you want even a little bit more vertices, but this would probably work if we put like a subdivision surface. Oh, not on this one, but on this one. Yeah, this actually doesn't look too bad. I like it. So yeah, if you want to change some things, one thing to change is do the strength a bit lower so it goes less fast, or a little bit of the pull higher, that stuff, right? So you can always change some stuff around, and yeah, please do so. And if you have found something fun, send it to me, and yeah, I really want to see it. So, okay, next step. I'm gonna put this at 50. I think we just want like 50 frames or something like that. Let's not to do it too high or too low. Maybe 30 frames will even be good. Let's do 30 for now. And now we can bake it. So we can select our soft body. Go to cache here, and also do here till 30. Okay, because its simulation starts at 1 and ends at 30, and then you can bake it. So this takes a while. I guess I will come back when it's done. Okay, so my bake is done, and you can see at the end it kinda does something weird. This is kinda annoying. It could be because of face orientation. So some of you guys might see some red in here if you have this face orientation. That's not my case. I think we should just play around. I think it might be going a bit too fast even. So what we can do is we can change from this one. Just delete the bake if you're not happy with it. I can pull a bit up. I can even do the strength of our force field a bit down, so maybe 15. And I can change from this cube, I can change the thickness outer to 0.08, something like that. So I'm gonna bake it again. It's just small things, and you know what, with some, maybe you have a little bit of a different size or whatever, and it just doesn't work the same. So you really gotta, yeah, some of this stuff is just trying out. So I'm gonna bake it again. I will come back to you guys. Okay, so as you can see, that works way better. We don't have that weird stuff happening. A little bit here maybe, but let's just start rendering, and yeah, I'm excited. So first thing I'm doing is I'm gonna get a plane underneath here and move this around the Z-axis. I'm just gonna put it so this iron fits on top of it, okay? I'm not gonna try to push that also in. And let's make it a nice big one. With 0, you can jump into your camera view, and when you go into view here, like in a tab, you can click lock camera to view, and now you can literally go around with this camera. I like where we are right now, to be honest, so I'm gonna keep it right here, maybe zoom a little bit in, and I am going to change the size of my camera to, where is it, 1080 by 1080, just so it's square. I'm gonna zoom in a bit more, maybe look a bit more up, something like this. This looks cool to me. If you don't want it to move anymore with your selection, then just click it off. That's it. And let's go on to the materials. So I want to render this not in Eevee but in cycles. You can probably also do it in Eevee. We are not doing a very difficult one materials. But let's go to shader editor. we're gonna add a material, and let's start with the ground plane. So I'm just gonna call this ground or floor, whatever. And I kind of forgot already what for colors I used. Let's look in here. Okay, so we used a yellow one for this one, and it is not totally yellow, it's a little bit towards the orange. A little bit like this. A bit darker. And how can I... no, not this dark. And look at the material. Yeah, suddenly this looks cool. I don't want it to have that much roughness. I don't want it to shine back at all. So 0.8 or 0.9 will be nice for this. And that is actually already the material for what I use for this. Let's go on to our metal. So this has its own material already for some reason. So let's just call this metal or steel, whatever you want. You want the metallic all the way up. And the roughness I'm going to put a little bit lower so it reflects a bit more. So 0.3 seemed good for me. And a little bit more gray I like. Yes. When we go into rendered version, then you can see it a bit better, but I'm not doing that right now because if I do that my OBS is kind of laggy and I just don't want a very laggy video. So we will check it later if it's really good, and we can always go back into our materials and change some stuff. Go back here, and now we go into our plastic. Give the material plastic, and this will be purple. I kind of did like a something like this. It's like between pink and purple and like pink and blue, like a bit more to the blue side. I feel like that's cool. And also, did I do it brighter? Maybe. I really wanted it to pop. That's why, like pop out. So it's no metallic roughness. I want it very shiny though. So 0.1, and now you have we'll have a nice reflection. Cool. So I'm gonna start looking at our render, like right now here. Am I even in cycles? I am in cycles. Okay, so this is our rendered version, and for some reason I can't do this. I'm not sure why. Well, doesn't matter. So as you can see, we don't have any light in the scene, right? Let's change that. The things that I like to do is get an environment map. So here in the shader editor we go into world instead of object, and then I choose an environment texture. I'm gonna put it in the color of the background, and now we can change, like choose an HDRI. So I have this HDRI is on the website. If you want it, it's totally free, and also this whole like course of course or whatever you call this, the tutorial is free. So if you are coming from another thing than from my own website, which is 3D School, then just click on the link below and you can get it there if you want this one. And by the way, you can use any HDRI that you want, right? It's just only if you really want this HDRI then you can do it. Otherwise you just use another lighting system. That's totally fine. Go into world when you have added it, and go to settings and change the volume sampling here to multiple importance. That just makes the scene work a little bit better with an HDRI map. Okay. I'm going back to object, so if I want to change anything later. And I'm gonna look at our scene right now with this HDRI. So you can see that it takes a way longer to load the scene, but in my opinion it gives already a way better result. Look at this. This looks awesome, right? So last thing that I did is if you really want to render this, I gave this this steel stuff a bevel, so you can see what a bevel does. I gave it 2 segments and put it of course way smaller, so we have just a very nice little corner in here, because nothing in real life is super sharp like this, right? Like there's nothing, so that's why we do it like this. And we do a subdivision surface to give them a bit more smooth shading, and you can always drop a smooth shading on there. Cool. And that is how we get like a nice more realistic look, let's say. Awesome. And if you want to render the animation, go to your to this output section, choose a map where you want to put it out, and I highly advise you to do it in a PNG or at least an image file. So when this all exports, it just goes picture by picture instead of putting all the pictures already together inside a movie file. Because if it crashes, let's say you are at image 20 and you still need 10 to go. If it crashes at 20, you can just restart it and do your next one at 21, right? But if it crashes with a movie file, then just the whole movie file is ruined. You can't use any of the previous rendered stuff, and yeah, it's done. So you need to start all over. So that's a little time saver here for you. So put an output. If you're happy with it, you can change some sampling. And you can. I'm not going into depth here. I did this a little bit higher. I just think I did it on 500 or something like that. I didn't do anything here in detail. Then in render, you can do render animation, and the animation will all be rendered and goes to the output file that you put it. So this folder, and that's how you make this, guys. So I hope you learned a lot. If you have made it, send it to me. Send. I really want to see it. And also on our Facebook group, you can actually send it to. It is. Wait, let me look it up very quick. It's free to join, so no worries. It's the 3D learning portal. I will just put it down in the description below. And I would really like to see what you guys made. It's so fun for me. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.